Recently, the way that both Precious Achiuwa and Isaiah Hartenstein have been playing can have massive implications on the New York Knicks for free agency 2024, and we're going to break it down. So what's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to waste no time jumping into the video because, as you guys know, Precious Achiuwa and Isaiah Hartenstein have been balling out when they've gotten their opportunities, as once Mitchell Robinson went down on December 9th with an ankle injury that was initially supposed to sideline him for the rest of the season, though now it doesn't look that way. Isaiah Hartenstein quickly became the Knicks starter and has become an elite role player for the New York Knicks and has shown that he can be a starting center on a championship level basketball team. And that is something that we have loved, because when the Knicks signed Hartenstein, he didn't instantly start out really well. Things kind of took a little bit for it to get together. He was dealing with some minor injuries that were lingering. Then he got healthy, and in the playoffs, we saw Hartenstein take a massive leap. And then going into this season, obviously he played well before the playoffs last year, but especially in the playoffs when teams were trying to do the hack a Mitch, they brought in Hartenstein, things went great. But into this season, Hartenstein has continued his awesome play. And as a Knicks starter, he has been great for the New York Knicks. Then, once the Knicks made the big trade that they made, obviously there was two, but the one that sent RJ and quickly to Toronto for Achiuwa and obviously OG Anunoby, things changed a lot. We saw Julius Randle go down with an injury, and Precious went from someone who was not playing very well with the New York Knicks to really balling out and putting up these numbers, averaging 12 points and 10 rebounds, along with 2 blocks in 18 games since February 1st, because he really started to cook in the month of February, and we have just seen Precious Achiuwa blossom in to a very good starter in the NBA. But we do know Julius Randle is going to be coming back at some point, and with the return of OG Anunoby, Precious has been moved back to the bench. And it's not that he instantly started playing badly, but it does have some implications when talking about free agency, as Precious Achiuwa, along with Isaiah Hartenstein, will both be hitting free agency this summer. Now, there's a caveat. Precious is, in fact, restricted, whereas Isaiah Hartenstein is an unrestricted free agent. So the Knicks can match any deal given to Precious Achiuwa, but that is not the case with Isaiah Hartenstein, who really can walk to any other team, and there's not much the Knicks can do to stop it. So, we recently saw an article come out, and we're just going to talk about it a little bit. But first, let's look at the Knicks' salaries, because if you look here, you can see they are paying people some hefty paydays. Obviously, Randall's getting nearly $30 million. OG Anunoby's going to go ahead and decline that player option, and then get a nice little $30 to $40 million contract from the New York Knicks to stay with the team. Jalen Brunson in the offseason of 2025, so the summer after the upcoming one, he will be owed a massive payday. And then also we're giving guys like Josh Hart, like Dante DiVincenzo, like Mitchell Robinson some good money on top of that, where we're going to have to figure out what we want to do with Precious Achiuwa and Isaiah Hartenstein. And you can kind of tie Mitchell Robinson into that, because we have to figure out who is the Knicks' big man of the future. Now, I can tell you one thing. Precious Achiuwa's best basketball has come at the power forward position, and he himself has said that. So we'll go into that a little bit. But also, we have to figure out who the Knicks' starting center is. So I'm really interested in just kind of seeing what this means for the New York Knicks. And essentially, if you look right here, you could see that with OG Anunoby's return from his elbow surgery this week, Precious Achiuwa went to 4 points and 7 rebounds in 24 minutes in the Knicks win over the Trailblazers, where he was playing mostly a backup center role, which does feel a little out of position at this point for Precious. And then also, he still played very well in Tuesday's win over the 76ers, but the playing time dipped, especially compared to his 40-minute average in the 12 games immediately after Anunoby's injury. And the role change presents questions how it could impact Achiuwa's free agency and his future with the New York Knicks. And what Precious had to say on his impending free agency is basically the standard of what you're going to see, which is right now, I'm just focused on the season. Obviously, that's something that's going to come around. When the time comes, that's something we're going to talk about. Of course, we'll cross that bridge. And so it does kind of make you wonder what exactly Precious Achiuwa's future has in store for us. Because here's the deal. The Knicks don't want to go over the luxury tax. That would be bad. Like those sirens out there, you can kind of ring the alarm because that would make it harder for the New York Knicks to trade for a star player. Now, once there's been a lot of different rules that have come up recently with the second apron and the luxury tax to kind of prevent super teams being formed, like how the Golden State Warriors had Steph Curry on that cheap extension because he didn't break out yet, and with some cap finagling, they were able to sign Durant to the max deal, forming the greatest team that basketball has ever seen by a country mile, and they basically cakewalked into 2 NBA Finals, and it easily would have been 3 had the Warriors stayed healthy that time around, though Kevin Durant did go down with the injury, and later Klay Thompson would, and the Toronto Raptors would reap the rewards and win their first ever NBA championship. Shout out Raptors Digest. But if you also just keep continuing to look at this article, what we see is that obviously Mitch will be paid $14 million next season. Hartenstein has stepped into the role and will be an unrestricted free agent, and Bobby Marks values Isaiah Hartenstein at around $13 to $14 million in annual salary, so very close to Mitchell Robinson's contract. And Bobby Marks noted that centers don't get big money anymore, but Achiuwa and Hartenstein benefit from a weak free agency class at that position, with Brooklyn's Nick Claxton and New Orleans' Jonas Valanciunas being at the top of the free agency class. Claxton will probably head back to Brooklyn, and then Valanciunas, it's a little more unsure, but at the same time, players don't really leave in free agency that much anymore. So who knows what's going to happen with Jonas Valanciunas. The NBA is kind of becoming more like the NFL, where re-signing is the more popular thing, though this is the wrong time to say that because what is going on in the NFL right now? The free agency is nuts. I don't know if any of you guys are football fans, but wow. And also Jets, please do something. But that's a separate conversation. Assuming the Knicks bring back Anunoby in free agency, which is noted right here, they're going to bring him back. Re-signing Achiuwa and Hartenstein send him into the luxury tax, as I would guess Achiuwa gets around $8 to $10 million, and then Hartenstein getting around $14. You can't pay all that money on top of the $30 million per year you're going to give OG. And obviously it's a bigger dent in Dolan's wallet, though James Dolan doesn't really care about that, but there does become signing restrictions where you lose some exceptions. You lose some ways to make trades, and things get more difficult for you. So the Knicks have to be aware of that, and they have to figure that out. And really, when it boils down to it, you can't bring them all back. You can't have Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, and Precious Achiuwa, and that begs the question, who is the odd man out? Now, I know a lot of people, including myself, have really gone in on Precious Achiuwa having a ton of potential as an NBA player. He's 24 years old, he's young, he's got something there, he's a freak athlete, but something else to be aware of. Mitch and Hartenstein are basically the same age as Precious. They're a year older each, so, I don't think we've seen the best of either Mitchell Robinson, and we definitely have not seen the best of Isaiah Hartenstein. So this is definitely something that we have to keep, our heads on straight about. Because when we look at it, yeah, I love Precious Achiuwa. I want him back on the New York Knicks. But at the same time, are we really going to go into the luxury tax for a backup power forward? We were just talking about 2 months prior the fact that the fact that Precious Achiuwa is probably not going to get minutes in the playoffs. Now that's changed. He's going to get minutes, but it's not going to be a lot. Are we really going to ensure that we keep him by going into the luxury tax? It's not like backup power forward is the biggest position of need. So there's going to be some questions to be answered because I want to bring Hartenstein back. Him and Mitch can each be on $14 million contracts. Gives you a real good chance to just platoon them and have them each play 24 minutes and get a solid 48 minutes of very good center play in the NBA. I think that'd be a massive win for the Knicks. And in that case, you might end up having to lose Precious, whether it's in a sign and trade or you just let him walk in free agency. The Knicks are going to have to explore that being a real situation for them, so they still have openness to make any trade they want because the second apron does get complicated. Now, if you go over the first apron, which is essentially just a salary cap, your trades get restricted. The number from 125% of the salary of your outgoing salary can only go down to 110 when making a trade. So essentially financial trade rules, which people who play NBA 2K franchise will understand this. It's harder to make trades. It's harder to match salaries, long story short. And teams can't acquire players and sign and trade deals in the offseason if the incoming salary keeps them above the team apron. So you can't do a sign and trade, which obviously makes acquiring players in free agency even harder because sign and trades are so common nowadays. And then also, if we continue and you look at the second apron, teams no longer get a mid-level exception, so you can't just throw $11 million at some like role player who you could really want, like the way that the Knicks did with DiVincenzo. And if a team remains in the second apron for 3 out of the 5 seasons, their first-round pick will automatically move to the end of the round, beginning the following season. A first-round pick 7 years out, a valuable asset for capped-out contenders, cannot be traded. So basically, you're going to have to pick up basically unproven rookies or unproven young players who have barely been in the NBA, guys who are mainly on two-way contracts. Teams can't use trade exceptions, and teams can no longer use cash in trades. So it does prevent super teams being formed, and the New York Knicks have to be aware of this. Now, they have Brock Gallagher, who's a cap wizard, so they'll figure this one out for sure, but it is something we have to be aware of as fans, that there's a good chance we don't see the three-headed monster of Mitch, Achiuwa, and Hartenstein back. Someone's going to be the odd man out, and either you do Mitch and some trade, and we're going to actually discuss a Mitch trade in the next video that I'm about to post. But also, it feels like Precious will probably be the odd man out. We'll see what he gets in free agency. We'll see. Maybe he wants a pay cut. Maybe Hartenstein will take a pay cut just because he likes being in New York, but probably not because he's damn good and he could get paid from someone. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys updated on the story. Comment down below what you guys think the Knicks should do with this kind of situation. Subscribe to Knicks Digest, like this video, turn on post notifications, all that good stuff. Y'all have a great day, and go Knicks.